All right, 1987 was an interesting year. Sure, Johnny was putting baby in the corner. Robin Williams was imitating a great disc jockey in Vietnam. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was the running man. And yeah, we had Beverly Hills Cop 2 being the biggest movie of the year. But one of the films that got totally snubbed in all of this was one of my favorite crime gangster films, which was The Untouchables. And I revisited the film, and what I found was The Untouchables, it's dramatically ignored. What a film. Like everything about the film, the cast is phenomenal. You see Sean Connery here. He gets his one and only Oscar in this performance. Costner, Andy Garcia, and of course, Robert De Niro as Al Capone is really fantastic. And a great performance by Charles Martin Smith, by the way. We don't talk about him enough, but the score is great. It's a Morricone score. The editing is fantastic. Cinematography is great. David Mamet turns in just a wonderful script. I just really enjoy this film. Robert De Niro as Al Capone. This is Prohibition Chicago. And of course, the king of the castle is Capone, who's running all the businesses. He's controlling every aspect of lives, and yet nothing leads back to him as organized crime boss. So we're going to bring in some federal treasury agents. And Boy Scout Eliot Ness is just the man for the job. He's just very passionate about bringing down Capone. He's trying to deal with the prohibition thing. And I think what's interesting is a lot of times I don't think people understand the treasury aspect, and the film definitely gives you some perspective. It's kind of like it's all they had to go on. He meets Malone, who is this cop, this, rough cop. He's tumble, he's very wise, picks up on some things, and he ends up kind of reaching out to him and say, listen, will you partner with me? Will you help me figure this out? And this was a great Connery idea, by the way, to get off of the streets. They end up going to this church and they make their quote blood oath where they go to this church and they're like, what will you do? Okay. And now what will you do? It's the old, they bring a knife, you bring a gun, put one in hospital, put one in the morgue. What are you willing to do? And that is the entire theme of the movie is how far will Eliot Ness go? They go and recruit Andy Garcia as this sharpshooter. And by the way, just the scene and way they do everything. Again, it's a tribute to the David Mamet script, but DePalma pulls everything off. Garcia is fantastic. This is obviously a precursor to his little role in Godfather. And some of his stardom that he had were kind of being a quasi leading man. I'm not sure he really carried a film into like blockbuster status, but he has tons of roles. I think they were very admirable and very good. This is one of them that's kind of like, early in his career, or at least in the background. And the final member of the Untouchables here in the film is the Charles Martin Smith character there on the left. He is sort of like the bookkeeper, uber nerd of the group. And he does get a couple great moments. I love Wallace. I think he's fantastic. I think Oscar just brings a lot to balance everything out. When they have a big shootout at this bridge, he at least has a couple moments of heroism, but also like some levity that kind of comes into play there. Make no mistake, every scene is chewed up by De Niro's Capone. It's fantastic. It's a great performance, and it's sort of one of those things where De Niro's turned out so many of these. I end up seeing more like De Niro isms rather than something that's really really big. And I don't know exactly like I don't think Costner nor he are the lead of the movie. They're sort of like the co-leads, the antagonist and protagonist, and that kind of lends itself to Sean Connery getting that best supporting actor nod and victory. So it's kind of a weird role that kind of falls through the cracks. I do appreciate the fact that we are going to have some silliness with that. With like obviously the car rolls over him. They're trying to get more information about the bookkeeper and what things mean, and they basically have Connery use the pistol to interrogate a dead man to get that guy to talk. One of the other things that's interesting about the film is dealing with the police during Prohibition time and how they could keep their families safe or not. And there's not a shot of Nitty. He's like the hitman. He wears all white, very odd, strange looking dude. Billy Drago, I think it's Drago is how you would say his name. He plays that character and he's fantastic. He shows up in several different scenes. He's basically Capone's mystically go-to hitman. He's the bullseye equivalent in this universe, if you will. And it puts the situation for Ness at odds with what his goal is because now there's a chance that even his family is in harm's way. And I think it's really done wonderfully well. Things culminate with a big shootout at a train station. I don't know. This was probably some of the more contrived elements of the film. And I get it. This is not a perfect film or anything like that, but I find that it's a very nice, contained story about this era and crime and all that. And it comes from my sweet spot, the 87, working in the theater. I'm getting exposed to these movies. I'm learning more about the craft. I'm seeing all these things play out. And I look back at this film, one of the first films I ever owned a VHS, by the way. It is, it holds up really well for me. I just really do enjoy um, each and every time I watch it. I think that it's also just one of those characters where we're very curious on how someone was this big and there was no dirt on him. So it just feels fun and interesting to pull back that layer a little bit. So look, I'm not going to sort of like hang my hat on any of like historical creative liberties with this film because Lord knows there's a ton of them. This is not a film that's rooted in history very much at all. It's just kind of a interesting screenplay and story that's fun to watch rather than something that's full of a lot of historic accuracies. For instance, I don't believe Eliot Ness went out and shot anybody or was killing people or even was a big fan of gun violence. Like it's kind of played out like he's willing to just do what he has to do. I also don't think he was the key guy of getting Capone. I think there were other people that were involved, but it feels nice to know that they kind of give it along this legacy and kind of works real good. The IRS agent that actually inspires the Oscar Wallace character, I think, is the one, Frank Wilson, I think is his name. And he was the one I think is more tied to actually bringing down Capone. And he wasn't really part of the Untouchables, and it makes better for the film. So, movie did really well at the time, and DePalma I think got really snubbed for the Oscar. The 87 Oscars were all about The Last Emperor. And of course, the directing Oscars were nominated from also Fatal Attraction, Hope and Glory, Moonstruck, and My Life as a Dog. Movies that haven't watched, not going to watch. And it just feels like De Palma just can't get a break when it comes to getting an Oscar nod, man. Because he turns in such really good and crafts such really good films. And this is one of them. So all in all, how do I score a movie like this? For me, I probably give it a little bit more of a bump because it's in that sort of like sweet spot of stuff that I really enjoyed then. I still can enjoy revisiting. So for me, it's probably a little on the higher side. I'm going to give it at least a very strong 4, probably even close to a 4.5. But it's because of the rewatchability. It's probably not quite that high for you. You probably would have it more like a 3.5, 7 to 8 kind of range. Probably most normal for most people. But this is an easy watch for crime gangster stuff. I think everything about it is executed perfectly, and I do enjoy revisiting stuff from that nostalgia time in my life for sure. So, anyway, that's my take on it. Thanks to you for watching. I appreciate your time. I am Pops.